Hello guys, gals, non-binary pals, and waterfowls. It's me, Big Mike, and in this video we're stepping back into the world of animation, baby. If you know my channel, then you know I'm a huge fan of Beavis and Butt-head. In fact, this is going to be my third video on the duo in less than a year. Speaking of which, a little less than a year ago I made a video about Beavis and Butt-head Do the Universe. And at the end of the video, I said that if Judge and Co. brought that same energy with the revival series as they did with the movie, then they would knock it out of the park. And fam, both this season and the first have been a grand slam in my book. Now, out of context, it probably sounds like I'm being a little overdramatic here, but you know, in this world of reboots, remakes, and revivals, you can never be too sure how they're going to turn out. But sure enough, Judge and Co. delivered here, fam. Even more so, and this will probably get me crucified by some sections of the Beavis and Butt-head fandom, but the best episodes of the revival series can go toe-to-toe with the best of the original series. I'm not saying that all the episodes of the revival series are better than all the episodes of the original series, but what I am saying is that the best episodes of the revival series will rank up there on the same list with the best episodes of the original series. And speaking of the best episodes, today I want to talk about my favorite episodes so far from the latest season of Mike Judge's Beavis and Butt-head. Full disclaimer, as of making this video, I'm only up to episode 9. So maybe there's another one that will beat this in the future. But as of now, this episode I'm going to talk about is my favorite from this current season. And my favorite episode so far is Are You There, God? It's Me, Beavis. So if you haven't seen it yet, go watch that episode and come back, because I am about to spoil the fuck out of it. So I'm going to break down this episode and I'm going to explain some of the cultural influences behind it. And at the end, I'm going to explain why this episode is my favorite so far. Also, in this video, I'm just going to be talking about the main story. I'm not going to be discussing the music video segment. So without further ado, let's jump into it, and this is your last chance if you're trying to avoid spoilers. Are You There, God? It's Me, Beavis is the second segment of the 6th episode of Season 2 of Mike Judge's Beavis and Butt-head. However, if you're counting the segments as episodes, then it's the 12th episode. However, this may also be Season 10 as well, and not Season 2. Now, some in the Beavis and Butt-head fandom will keep the two series, the revival and the original, as separate. However, some will also combine the two, and if you follow the scheme that combines the two, this is going to be Season 10 and not Season 2. The title is taken from the famous adolescence novel, Are You There, God? It's Me, Margaret, by Judy Blume, a famous and prolific children and young adult book author. The story focuses on Margaret Simon, a 6th grader from an interfaith family. Her mom is Jewish and her dad is Christian, so they decide to raise her without religion until she was old enough to decide for herself. Through the story, she struggles to find her own religion. She's also dealing with many puberty-related issues. She anxiously awaits for her first period, she wonders when her boobs will finally start to grow, and deals with issues related to her body image. Now, this episode doesn't just take inspiration for its name from the book, it also takes its form from there as well. Frequently in the book, Margaret prays to God and starts every prayer with, Are you there, God? It's me, Margaret. And it's usually used as a way to express concern over something she's going through or had to deal with earlier. For example, the book starts off with her praying, Are you there, God? It's me, Margaret. We're moving today. I'm so scared, God. I've never lived anywhere but here. Suppose I hate my new school. Suppose everybody there hates me. Please help me, God. Don't let New Jersey be too horrible. And likewise, this episode is framed the same way. Often Beavis is praying, expressing concern over what's going on with him. The episode opens up with Beavis praying, much like Margaret, concerned over what's going on with his body and confused on what to do. Now, unlike Margaret, Beavis is dealing with some very, very different issues. We then jump into a flashback that enlightens us as to what's going on. At school, Mr. Van Driesen is teaching a lesson on puberty when we discover the boys are outside harassing a skunk, which is never a good idea. Kids, don't harass animals, and definitely don't fuck with skunks. Nothing good is going to come from that. But anyway, after poking the animal with a stick and getting nice and pissed off, Butt-head notices it's foaming at the mouth. But he mistakes the foam for being whipped cream. Now here, I can't really tell if Butt-head is being stupid and he doesn't understand what he's doing, or if he's just being a dick. but he asks Beavis to get them some, at which point Beavis exclaims,
Yeah, whipped cream kicks ass.
and yes, fam, I'm about to make the most controversial statement of the century. Whipped cream does in fact kick ass, so make no mistake about that. However, you probably shouldn't try to get it off the faces of wild animals though. Beavis, however, doesn't understand that, so he goes to get some and the skunk bites him.
Hey, it likes me.
After struggling to get it off of him, Beavis finally manages to do so by slinging it up against the classroom window where Mr. Van Driesen is teaching. Now this is an interesting point because we see Van Driesen mentioning he was late hitting puberty, and in the book, Margaret is the last, or at one point she believes she's the last of her friends to hit puberty. The attention then focuses back on Beavis, where we see he is bleeding, and makes references to his body going through changes, mostly in regards to bleeding. And this is an obvious nod to Margaret and her group of friends who are excitedly waiting to get their first period. For example, there's one point where Margaret prays, "Are you there, God? It's me, Margaret. Gretchen, my friend, got her period. I'm so jealous, God. I hate myself for being so jealous, but I am. I wish you'd help me just a little. Nancy's sure she's going to get her period soon too, and if I'm last, I don't know what I'll do. Oh please God, I just want to be normal." We then cut back to Beavis, who's praying, asking God if he's normal. He feels insecure about his body and starts comparing it to that of the other boys, and this leads into a flashback to gym class. We pan across the students staring at a yellow-eyed, foaming at the mouth, twitching, yelling Beavis. He then goes on to say he has a fever, his head hurts, he has a phobia of water, and he wants to bite people. Now maybe you're like, damn Big Mike, that sounds awfully close to the list of rabies symptoms. And there's a reason for that. The gym teacher, who very much to my surprise is not Mr. Buzzcut, notices him and remarks that Beavis is looking rough. Now fam, I've been watching Beavis and Butt-head for a very long time. Since I was like maybe 4 or 5, maybe 6 years old. And I can definitely say here, Beavis looks much rougher than normal. This enrages Beavis, who claims he's normal.
Everyone leave me alone. Stop looking at me.
This is followed up by another scene of Beavis praying. This time he says he just wants to be like everyone else. And that was a big part of what Margaret was feeling in the book as well. She just wanted to fit in and be normal just like her friends were. For example, at one point Margaret prays, "Are you there, God? It's me, Margaret. Life is getting worse every day. I'm going to be the only one who doesn't get it. I know it, God." We then see Beavis talk about how he feels like he's the same on the inside, but on the outside he's going through so many changes. Like his eyes have turned yellow, and he's foaming at the mouth, and he can't understand why. It then cuts to Butt-head and Beavis, who's now in a feral state, sitting on their sofa at home watching the news discuss a rabies outbreak in the local skunk population. Beavis' frantic twitching and body movements back and forth, as well as his constant yelling, starts to piss Butt-head off, so he tells Beavis to shut up before smacking the bejesus out of Beavis. Beavis then, quite to Butt-head's surprise, jumps on him and begins clawing at him and just pretty much goes medieval on that ass. And here, let me just say, I love the reaction on Butt-head's face. He's scared shitless, and I think this may be the first time in this franchise's history that I've seen such a look on Butt-head's face. Butt-head finally manages to get Beavis off of him, but Beavis starts trying to bite him. He finally breaks free and goes to leave, but before he does, he tells Beavis he's gonna kick his ass later. Before Beavis scares the shit out of him yet again, and the face here is absolutely fucking priceless. It's way even more intense than what he made previously. But to be fair, fam, I can't blame him. I would have got the fuck out of there too. We return to Beavis, who's praying again about the changes he's going through, and believing they're a part of growing up. He loses his train of thought and can't remember what he's praying for. And then he asks God to make his nads bigger. And this is another parallel from the book. One of the issues Margaret struggles with is the size of her breasts. For example, at one point she prays, "Are you there, God? It's me, Margaret. I just did an exercise to help me grow. Have you thought about it, God? about my growing? I mean, I've got a bra now. It would be nice if I had something to put in it. Of course, if you don't think I'm ready, I'll understand. We didn't see that God's been sitting there the entire time on the couch while Beavis has been talking to him. But he says he's not really God, but rather he's a fever-induced hallucination caused by his rabies. Beavis isn't really concerned with this though. Oh no, my man, the only thing he's concerned with is getting bigger nads. And you know what? That's respectable, fam. My dude knows exactly what he wants, and he won't let anything distract him. You gotta respect that level of dedication. But anyway, God then informs Beavis that his nads are big, much to Beavis's delight. And despite his previous feral nature, he even comes back to normal, or I guess as close to normal as it gets for Beavis, especially in this situation, and he thanks God before leaving. As he's walking out of his house, he finally accepts that his body is perfect just the way it is. As he walks down the street, he sees Tom Anderson watering his yard and resumes his feral nature and attacks him. Viciously, I mean, just like he did with Butt-head. I mean, he goes complete medieval on that ass too. We close the scene with Mr. Anderson calling for his wife to bring him his gun.
Be myself. Ah! Ah!
What the hell? Percy, get the gun!
So now I just want to give my thoughts on why this episode has been my favorite from this season so far. So firstly, this was not the first time the series had Beavis get rabies, or supposedly get rabies. The 4th episode of the 4th season, entitled Rabies Scare, has Beavis get bit by a dog, and Beavis has to feign getting rabies. I feel like that episode is really shallow, and the comedic depth just isn't as great as it is with Are You There, God? It's Me, Beavis. Now that's not to say Rabies Scare doesn't have any good points. I really love the fact that Beavis' fake name is Rod Munch.
What's your name?
Last name is Munch. First name is Rodney.
Yeah, yeah. Rod Munch. Rod Munch.
Now, which one of you fellas is Rod Munch?
He is. He's Rod.
Rod Munch, huh?
And I love that type of wordplay. Also, Rabies Scare is really big on physical comedy, with Beavis getting attacked by the dog, and also, Butt-head just harassing Beavis by poking stuff in his wound. And to be sure, Are You There, God? It's Me, Beavis does have physical comedy in it as well, but also the types of comedy that are used here are much more varied. But I'll get more into the comedy in my next point. But before I jump into that, I just want to make an aside. I do like how, with Are You There, God? It's Me, Beavis, Mike Judge decided to go with a skunk as opposed to a stereotypical animal, such as a dog or a raccoon, which tends to be the case whenever you watch a movie or see a TV show where the story involves a rabid animal. Secondly, I really love the humor here. Mike Judge is a comedic genius. And if you know anything about the man, he's produced so many amazing series and movies. For example, in addition to Beavis and Butt-head, he's also the series creator of King of the Hill, The Good Family, and he was also the creator of Idiocracy and Office Space. And you can really see his comedic strength come out in this episode. So here, as I mentioned just a few moments ago, there's physical comedy. When Beavis gets attacked by the rabbit skunk, that's a pretty hilarious scene. Mike Judge also plays around with a lot of expectations here as well. We think things are going one way when in reality something different happens. Like I love the reveal at the end that Beavis, he's been seeing God this whole time, but it's not really God, it's a fever-induced hallucination caused by his rabies.
So, what did I want to ask you again? Oh yeah, can you, make my nads bigger? That would be cool.
Beavis, I am not God. I am a fever-induced hallucination.
And there's also the element of shock or surprise when Beavis snaps in the locker room and he just rips the locker door off. But by far, the most important type of comedy here is parody. And Mike Judge is a master of parody. Throughout this series, Mike Judge has demonstrated his parodying chops. For example, in the original series, there was a nice parody of the Beverly Hillbillies, of Tony Robbins, and I forget the dude's exact name in real life, but it was a parody of a right-wing call-in political talk show. And then there was the 2011 revival's parody of Twilight. So throughout this series, throughout this franchise, Mike Judge has shown us time and time again he is an expert when it comes to parody. And I believe this episode and its parody of Are You There, God? It's Me, Margaret is a great example of that. Thirdly, and this is a minor point here, but it's a point I like nonetheless, I love seeing Butt-head finally get his. Throughout the series, he's kind of bullied and he's beat the hell out of Beavis quite a lot. Now, Beavis will sometimes fight back, and when he does fight back, they're pretty evenly matched. But oftentimes, he'll just smack Beavis for no reason, or just because he doesn't like something that Beavis is doing. So it's really nice just to see Beavis just put the fucking fear of God in him.
Dumbass. Beavis, I'm just gonna go ahead and kick your ass some other time.
And the final point I want to bring up here is I just love the ending. If you've seen any of my previous videos on Beavis and Butt-head, then you'd know that my favorite episodes are the ones that don't really have a clear ending to them. There's no resolution, or the duo is stuck in some type of cycle, like in the episode Green Thumbs I mentioned in my last video about the duo. I am, however, kinda on the fence about whether or not this ending counts, because at the end, when he's attacking Mr. Anderson is calling for his wife to bring the gun. So maybe it's implied that Beavis is gonna get shot, but fuck it, fam. We don't see what happens, so you know what? I'm gonna count this as one of those episodes in which we don't see the resolution, which again is my favorite kind of ending to a Beavis and Butt-head episode. And that's why Are You There, God? It's Me, Beavis has been my favorite episode so far from this current season. But what do you think? What's your favorite episode? Do you agree with my opinion? Do you disagree? Please let me know in the comments below, fam. I would love to hear your take on this. And this has been a wild one to make. I mean, it's been a fun video. I've enjoyed watching the episode over and over again, and it hasn't lost its charm any of the times I've rewatched it. But it has been a crazy one to make. I can only imagine what it's going to be like to talk to my family and to talk to my neighbors. What do you mean, Michael, you're anxiously waiting to get your period? Or what do you mean you want your breasts to hurry up and grow? Yeah, that's going to be a fun conversation to have. I really hope nobody walked in on that one. But also, in doing research for this video, I looked up a video here on YouTube of a rabid man, or a man with rabies, in the last stages of his life, and that was a fucked up video, fam. That shit was fucking crazy. And it's very, very disturbing. It's interesting, but it's very disturbing. It's here on YouTube if you want to check it out. I won't link it, but oh my god, dude. But I will say, Mike Judge, the details he put into Beavis when he was Rabbit, he got that shit perfect, down to the body movement, the eyes, and all of that. So very good job there, but I think I'm gonna call it here, fam. A special thanks to Fran, who does a wonderful job of doing my art. She's back on Twitter, so please give her a follow. A special thanks to all my friends on Twitter. I wouldn't be here without you all. And most importantly, a special thank you to all of you for watching. Please like this video if you liked it, dislike it if you dislike it. Feel free to comment below and let me know what you think. And if you like my content, please subscribe and turn your notifications on. Until next time, fam, just be yourself and you'll be awesome. Peace out!